My sister sent me a file labeled birthday budget for me. I had just transferred $5,800. Then she announced, "You're not invited, VIP only." I smiled and said, "Very useful." Canceled the venue, blocked the shared card, and left a note. "Find yourself a sponsor." An hour later, 83 missed calls. Have you ever felt like a phantom limb in your own family? Present, but only truly noticed when something needs to be done? Like your worth is measured not by who you are, but by what you can provide. For years, I was that person, a walking, talking ATM for the very people I cherished. And what if I told you the ultimate breaking point wasn't some thunderclap betrayal, but a frivolous, pink font, emoji-riddled birthday budget for my sister's party? A party I wasn't even on a guest list for. My name is Max. For 31 years, I existed as the silent anchor of my family. The eldest, yes, but more accurately, the one who effortlessly recalled everyone's shoe sizes, retrieved forgotten Wi-Fi passwords, and instinctively covered the Uber fare because, truly, it was simply easier if I did. Tessa, my younger sister, she was the star of Supernova. Her entrance into any room commanded attention, a magnetic pull. When I entered, my path typically led straight to the kitchen, where I'd start slicing limes, busying myself, diligently fading into the comfortable, familiar background. My professional life mirrors this. I manage operations for a logistics firm. Unflappable, unglamorous. I meticulously craft lists, deploy reminders, and preemptively solve problems. Insidiously, this practical disposition seeped into my home life, becoming my default personality. Initially, it manifested as, "Ask Max, he'll know," a helpful, benign query. But then, subtly, insidiously, it morphed into, "Ask Max, he'll cover it." We weren't wealthy, but neither were we struggling. My parents ran a small landscaping business. My summers were defined by the sun-drenched grind of hauling bags of mulch, while Tessa, ever the visionary, helped with social media, often with an iced tea in hand. Guess which one of us received payment in character-building experience. For an agonizingly long time, I convinced myself this was normal. Every family has its chosen one, right? Perhaps I could endure being merely background scenery, so long as the film of our lives kept playing. But a creeping unease began to gnaw at me as my phone screen, with alarming regularity, illuminated for the same predictable reasons. "Max, can you float me rent? I'll pay you Friday." "Max, I completely forgot Mom's copay." "Max, the brunch place only accepts one card." These requests were never monumental sums, just enough to make complaining feel petty. $40 here, $120 there. Later, an authorized user card, supposedly for emergencies, appeared on my account after Tessa's debit was compromised, left, predictably, in an Uber. Each time, I'd silence the faint whisper of self-preservation with the familiar mantra, "Asterisk boundaries can wait." Family first. "You're being a good brother," Max asterisk then, 2 Fridays ago as I stood in my apartment, pasta simmering on the stove, cursor hovering over an email reply, a Google Doc notification pinged into my inbox. The title was so absurd, so perfectly Tessa, I actually chuckled aloud. "Birthday budget for me." I clicked it open, a fleeting moment of amusement. It was no joke. Lines upon lines, bullet points, all rendered in an audacious pink font, punctuated by frivolous emoji headings. My stomach plummeted. The line items blurred into an impossible landscape. Venue, a chic loft, $3,400, just a book. DJ, non-negotiable, $1,200. Top-tier catering, $2,800. Outfits, me plus 2 changes, $900. Photo booth with a neon sign. Maybe Mom, $600 Max can get discount. Bottle service, VIP table. TBD, Max will figure out. Surprise cake, $180. Dad, decor for $150. I'll pick, Max pay later. Beneath this financial fantasy, a meticulously detailed list of deliverables with deadlines, and my name, Max, appear beside almost every single one. A chilling parenthetical note even advised, "Don't be weird about receipts. I'll send them later." I simply stood there, mesmerized, watching the steam twist and writhed for my pasta pot, silently begging it to conjure a different reality. Anything but this. The jarring ring of my phone cut through the silence, Tessa's perfectly filtered face instantly filling the screen. "Hey, just sent you the doc," she chirped, her tone as breezy as if she'd forwarded a grocery list. "You're the sponsor, you know? Like you always say, you want me to feel special this year." I said that. I racked my brain, barely recalling any such declaration. "On New Year's, I asked, and you said, 'Let's make your 30th big.'" She was already chewing gum, utterly oblivious. "Anyway, I need to lock the loft by noon tomorrow. I told them you'd wire the deposit tonight." I hadn't uttered a single word. I was still reeling, trying to comprehend the moment my own name had literally been reduced to an ATM pin. I watched her blink at her flawless reflection on the screen. "Oh, also," she added, a faint smirk tugging at her lips, "don't invite any of your work people. It's VIP only, you know my crowd." And in that instant, something inside me simply went cold. The realization crashed over me, stark and brutal. I wasn't even on the guest list for the very party I was being commanded to bankroll. A second beep registered, Dad. I let go to voicemail. The pasta on the stove, now a forgotten, overcooked mush. Tessa droned on. "Mom says not to be dramatic. She said it's just money, Max. You're good at money." I conjured images of all the times she'd said that, dismissively, with a shrug, as if my financial responsibility were some cheap party trick I performed after dessert. "I'll look at the doc," I mumbled, the words thick with resignation. "Perfect." She leaned closer to the camera, feigning an embrace through the screen. "You're the best. Don't make this complicated. It's my 30th. Then she repeated it, softer, almost a calculated kindness. "It's VIP only." When the call disconnected, I simply stared at the ceiling, the old pipes of the building groaning and clattering around me. My email pinged again. Reminder, payment details attached. I didn't click. I scraped the ruined pasta into the trash, washing the pot with mechanical, practiced motions, the exact way my hands always moved when my mind screamed for an escape. Later that night, I drove to my parents' house, a spare phone charger, Mom's, borrowed months ago, a dead weight in my hand. I walked into a tableau of forced domesticity. Mom was at the sink, a practiced hostess smile plastered on her face. "You got the document?" she asked, her voice light, too casual. I did. She dried her hands, then offered a fleeting, dismissive pat on my shoulder. "Good. Don't make a thing." Behind her, Dad remained fixated on the game on TV, a silent accomplice. "It's her big day," he muttered, not looking up. "You always say you've got her back." I stood there, the charger a pathetic prop, feeling utterly erased. Tessa drifted in from the hallway, shrouded in an oversized hoodie. She glanced at me, then, without turning her head, delivered the first iteration of what would become the week's grating mantra. "Don't be weird, Max. It's just the budget." It was then I understood. I hadn't become the family sponsor overnight. Oh no. This role, this financial servitude, had calcified slowly, insidiously, like forgotten interest, compounding on an overdue credit card. At 19, Tessa's car was booted. She didn't see the signs. I paid. She had finals. She was crying. At 22, her first apartment deal collapsed. A misunderstanding about the deposit. I covered it. Just to hold it, she'd promised. At 24, a month-long layoff. I floated her rent. It would ruin her credit. At 27, she launched an Instagram gifting boutique, needing seed money for inventory. I handed over $1,300, accompanied by a precise spreadsheet titled Loan, Tessa Repay Plan. Her reply? A picture of a candle inscribed Boss Babe, and the spreadsheet remained unopened. "Family doesn't do invoices, Max. Mom had lectured when I dared to inquire. Don't nickel and dime your sister," Dad added, his tone the voice of reason. So, the debts transformed into stories. Stories congealed into expectations. Expectations hardened into immutable roles. Meanwhile, I meticulously constructed my own unremarkable, stable life. Every bill tracked. Student loans vanquished years early through a Spartan diet of rice and eggs. A modest apartment, within my means. 6 months of expenses diligently saved. No flashy trips, no exotic Instagram feeds, just the quiet dignity of financial bedrock. But within my family, my hard-won stability became their comfort blanket, their safety net. If anything wobbled, sagged, or simply needed, I was there. I couldn't count the times I heard, "Max, you're so responsible," delivered in the exact same weary tone used for, "Max, you can handle it." 2 years prior, I'd foolishly added Tessa as an authorized user to one of my credit cards. The catalyst? A tearful call from a pharmacy. Her card declined for protein bars. I rationalized it. Temporary, I told myself. A strict $300 limit, I'd insisted. She nodded vigorously on FaceTime, promising only emergencies. Within a month, the statements revealed otherwise. A $280 charge at a nail salon, cryptically labeled VIP Chrome set, and another $147 at a place called Glow Bar. When I confronted her, she offered a perfectly straight face. Self-care is an emergency. Her sincerity was so unsettling, so absolute that I let it slide. I lowered the limit, but she simply found new ways to circumvent it, splitting charges across her own debit and my card. "Relax," she'd text, complete with a sparkle emoji. "I know what I'm doing." I eventually ceased asking for repayment dates. Any attempt to address the issue invariably twisted into an indictment of my attitude. "You always make me feel poor," she'd whine. "You act like a banker," Mom would interject, her voice laced with disdain. "Let it go, Max," Dad would chime in, hands raised in his signature peacemaker gesture. "We're family. It evens out." It never did. Not once. So, when that birthday budget doc materialized, it wasn't a sudden shock. It was merely the graduate-level final exam for a course I'd been unwillingly enrolled in for years. The document itself was excruciatingly thorough, maddeningly so. A dedicated tab detailed guest tiers, color-coded with labels like VIP, Core maybe. My name languished in Core, but with a parenthetical annotation. Work vibe, not party vibe. Another tab, Asks, listed relentless deadlines. There was even meticulously crafted script for me to use when contacting vendors, as if I were her personal manager. "Hi, I'm Max, handling payments for Tessa's 30th. We can process today if you waive the 3% fee." A breezy voice memo was attached, her voice chirping, "Max, don't overthink this. You know I can't deal with details. You're good at them. Be helpful." That very night, I wired the venue deposit, $3,400. It felt like a grim, well-practiced muscle memory. I rearranged $2,400 from my savings to cushion the blow, rationalizing that Dad had promised to cover the food, Mom the decor. Then Dad's text arrived. "Food vendor wants payment in full to lock price. Can you front it? I'll send you right away." I sent the $2,400. Arguing with Dad at 11:52 p.m. inevitably regresses me to my 12-year-old self. By Saturday morning, $5,800 had been wired in total across 2 vendors, my name emblazoned on both confirmations. I poured myself coffee, opened the doc to check off the boxes, and that's when a new comment from Tessa flared at the very top. "FYI, Max, dress code is strict. You can come to the pre-party to help set up, but actual party is VIP only." I stared at the words, "pre-party, help set up, not invited." I waited a desperate, illogical hope for a follow-up text reading, "Kidding." It never came. Instead, Mom called, prattling about linens. "I'm thinking rose gold," she mused, "but not too gold. Tasteful. Am I actually not invited?" I asked, the question feeling absurd even to my own ears. A pause. "Oh, honey, Tessa's friends can be particular. You know how you get about noise and crowds. It's better this way. I'm paying for it," I stated, the words leaving my mouth sounding foolish, pathetic, like asserting the sky was blue to someone who insisted it was green. "Don't be transactional," Mom snapped back, her voice sharp. "It ruins the vibe." I commanded myself to breathe, to pick my battles. I picked napkins. In the group chat, Tessa flooded us with mood boards, captioning everything super helpful. When I posed a practical question, "What about guest parking?" She replied with a heart emoji and a dismissive, super helpful, as if I were a dutiful assistant hitting my KPIs. That evening, she glided into my apartment, ostensibly to borrow a steamer, and departed with not only the steamer, but also my spare extension cords and measuring tape. "Don't be weird about this," she chirped, hugging me at my door. "It's just my 30th. You can do something for your birthday next year." I turned 31 in March. I corrected a whisper. "Oh." She blinked. "Right." The very next morning, another document haunted my folder. The run of show. Timestamps meticulously delineated every moment. 6 p.m. load-in, 7:30 p.m. golden hour photos, 8 p.m. Tessa's grand entrance with a sparkler wall, 10 p.m. VIP toast, 11:11 p.m. angel number shot. And at the bottom, in bold, a chilling edict. Payment balances due Friday at 3 p.m. Max, a smiley face emoji, punctuated the command. I waited, holding my breath, for someone, anyone, to acknowledge the sheer lunacy. But Dad merely asked if I could acquire dry ice. Cheap if you know where to look. Mom inquired if I could print table numbers at work. Tessa, oblivious, added 2 more vendors, a confetti cannon guy, and champagne tower rental. Budget is getting tight. I texted a desperate plea. "Don't be scarcity-minded," she replied instantly. "It's bad energy." That afternoon, the final surgical cut. "By the way, I had to tell the venue you're not staying for the party. It's VIP only. You make sure everyone gets inside and then head out. Love you." I didn't reply. My hands went completely cold, a deep freeze spreading through me. I caught my reflection in the mirror. My face, a blank screen, frozen, a harbinger of true distress. My jaw clenched, shoulders hunched to my ears, breath shallow, every internal alarm screaming silent warnings. I drove, yet again, to my parents' house. The air hung thick with the cloying scents of bleach and lemon. Tessa sat at the dining table, surrounded by fabric swatches. Mom, meanwhile, fussed over fake peonies. "Max," Mom chirped, oblivious. "Pick a blush." Tessa didn't even acknowledge my presence. "Did you send the DJ his retainer? He's threatening to release the date." I sent $5,800. Yesterday, I stated, my voice strangely level. "I'd like to discuss the invitation." "Don't be literal." She finally glanced up, a flicker of irritation. "It's my birthday. It needs to be curated." Dad walked in then, a bag of ice clutched in his hand. "Max, help me with the cooler." I stood there, trapped by that old, familiar dilemma. Asterisk, be helpful, or be difficult. Open your wallet, or open your mouth. Asterisk, I reached for the bag of ice. Tessa smiled, a small, satisfied curl of her lips, and said to Mom, as if I were invisible, "He knows his role." For the first time in a measurable length of time, that sentence didn't just slide past me, unheard. It stuck. It resonated. He knows his role. The actual breaking point arrived without fireworks or drama. It was a Tuesday, 6:12 p.m., in my living room, the radiator hissing, the neon glow from the bodega across the street flashing its tired open sign. The DJ texted, "Need full payment by Friday, or I release date." No exceptions. The venue emailed, "Final headcount and balance due Thursday, 3 p.m. Tessa pinged the doc, brazenly adding 12 more VIPs. "Shouldn't change budget too much," her note read. I called a meeting. I'm Max, the quiet one. The invisible one called a meeting. Group chat, 10:03 p.m. Dinner at mine. 6 p.m. non-negotiable. Mom sent a perfunctory thumbs up. Dad replied, terse, traffic. Tessa wrote, "Make it quick. Fittings at 7:30. They arrived, a procession, as if I were delaying their grand performance. Tessa, ever bold, dropped a garment bag onto my favorite armchair and began ransacking my cabinets. "Do you have sparkling water?" she inquired, her voice already impatient. "Sit," I said, the word emerging flat and calm, surprising even myself with its quiet authority. I placed my laptop on the table, opened the infamous doc, and revealed a new tab. Payment settled. Line by excruciating line, I'd itemized the amounts, the dates, the specific vendors. The total at the bottom, $5,800 already dispersed. Another $4,450 poised for Friday. A further $600 for surprise candles. A tab I'd resolutely refused to click. Mom's gaze snagged on the bottom line, and she actually winced as if she'd stared directly into a blinding spotlight. Dad folded his arms, a familiar defensive posture. Tessa, pointedly, avoided looking. I'm closing the shared card, I announced. Mom's head snapped up. Don't be dramatic. It's not dramatic, I corrected, my voice unwavering. It's math. Tessa let out a short, incredulous laugh, as if I'd delivered a particularly dry joke. Max, you promised. I didn't, I countered. And even if I had, promises extracted under duress don't constitute consent. Dad frowned, his brow furrowed. Pressure from who? From you, I stated, simply directly. From all of you. A small, charged silence descended. I don't believe anyone was truly shocked. Rather, they were irritated that I'd finally vocalized the unspoken truth. Tessa defiantly flipped her hair. Okay, but you already sent money. You can't back out now. That would literally ruin everything. I'm not backing out. I clarified, my voice steady. I'm stopping. Different verbs, same effect. She shot back, her tone sharp. You're sabotaging. I'm setting boundaries, I countered, meeting her gaze. You're calling it sabotage because you're accustomed to me having none. Dad pointed at the laptop, a desperate flicker in his eyes. Just finish this week, and we'll settle up after. Like we settled up the boutique. The nail, emergency. The rent floats. Mom looked genuinely offended. Are you keeping a ledger? Yes, I affirmed, my voice gaining strength. Because no one else is keeping track of my life but me. Tessa rolled her eyes heavenward. God, you're so clinical. This is a memory, Max. Do you want me to look back at my 30th and just remember my brother was stingy? Do I want to look back? I asked, the question hanging heavy in the air. And remember my sister made me pay to stand outside her party? Her face twitched, a minuscule betrayal of her composure. It's VIP only. I know, my voice remained calm, a stark contrast to the storm brewing within. So, here's precisely what's going to happen. I am closing the authorized user card tonight. I am canceling the venue. My name is on that contract, and I'll absorb the deposit. That's on me, a lesson learned. I am informing the DJ we will not be proceeding with my card. And I'm sending you all a new list. Its subject line, find a new sponsor. Mom's mouth fell open, a gasp escaping. You wouldn't dare. I already did, I replied, the words ringing with an unexpected finality. The emails are scheduled for 2 minutes from now. I typed them earlier this morning with coffee in a steady hand. Tessa let out a too loud, brittle laugh. You're bluffing. My phone buzzed. A trio of sharp dings. 3 emails sent. I let the sound echo in the stunned silence. Dad stepped forward, his face etched with concern. Max, this is family business. Exactly, I retorted, meeting his gaze directly. Which is precisely why I'm saying this to your faces, not in a text. I love you all, but I am done paying to be in a room I'm not allowed to enter. I am done being useful in exchange for being invisible. Tessa's eyes began to shine, not with tears, but with raw anger. You're punishing me. No, I corrected. Mom seized my arm, her nails digging in. You are ruining your sister's birthday. I took a deep, fortifying breath. Tessa, if you want a $9,000 party, you absolutely can have a $9,000 party. Use your savings. Ask your friends. Ask Dad. Ask Mom. But you cannot ask me to fund it and then tell me I'm not invited. That's not a party. That's a purchase. And I'm not buying it. She blinked, as if I'd physically struck her. You're being cruel. I'm being clear, I stated. Clarity, it turns out, feels a lot like cruelty when you've grown accustomed to nothing but chaos. Dad's voice dropped to a menacing whisper. If you press send on those emails, don't come to my house this week. Then I won't, I said, the words emerging steady and resolute. But I hope you'll still come to mine when you want to see me, and not just my wallet. Tessa snatched her garment bag, her expression venomous. I knew you'd make this about you. I almost chuckled. It already was. She stormed out. Mom followed, muttering, unbelievable. Dad lingered for a second, a silent battle raging within him, as if he yearned to utter something older, kinder. He didn't. He merely closed the door a bit too hard instead. I stood in the sudden quiet, listening to the familiar hiss of my radiator. Then, with a newfound resolve, I opened my banking app and unequivocally removed Tessa as an authorized user. I dispatched one final, comprehensive email to the vendors. Please direct all future communication to the client. Tessa, last name. I attach her phone number, her email, her Instagram handle. Then, to Tessa herself, I texted the new doc, find a new sponsor. It contained 3 stark bullet points, scaled down. Pay yourself. Invite who you can afford. I added one last, understated line at the bottom. Super helpful. Then, I placed my phone face down on the table, a definitive gesture. It didn't stay silent for long. 12 minutes after those emails launched, my phone began to vibrate, an angry insect. A private number, then mom, then dad, then an unknown caller, then Tessa's best friend, ally, then ally again. Within 30 minutes, I logged 27 missed calls and a barrage of messages that made the table thrum like a cheap speaker. I didn't answer. Instead, I methodically washed dishes, meticulously folded a towel, brewed a cup of tea. At 7:41 p.m., Dad texted, "Call me now." At 7:42, Mom, "You have no idea what you've done." At 7:45, Tessa, "Max, what is wrong with you?" At 7:46, Ally, "You actually canceled the loft?" Who does that to their own sister? At 8:03, the venue's reply confirmed. Her contract deposit is non-refundable. Booking canceled. At 8:07, the DJ. Date released. Good luck. At 8:11, the confetti guy. LOL. Okay. By 8:24, I had 83 missed calls. I finally picked up when Dad called again, not out of obligation, but because I was tired of my phone rattling my table. He didn't offer a greeting. "You apologize to your sister," he commanded, his voice tight with barely suppressed fury. "For what?" I asked. "For humiliating her. I canceled a room I paid for. You paid for it because you promised." "I paid for it because I always do," I countered, my voice rising. "That's the entire point." He exhaled a ragged, defeated sound, like a man pushed past his limits. "You think you're better than us because you have money." "I don't have money," I stated firmly. "I have boundaries. You just keep mistaking one for the other." Silence. Then he pivoted a different tactic. "Your mother is crying." "I'm sorry she's upset," I replied truthfully. "She's allowed to be upset. So am I. Just come over. We'll talk." "You told me not to come if I press send," I reminded him, a ghost of a smile touching my lips. He made a guttural sound. Annoyance, shame, a blend of both. "Don't be petty." "Petty," I corrected, "is telling someone they're not invited to the party they're paying for. This is me being precise." He hung up. At 9:02 p.m., a text from Tessa illuminated my screen. A dense paragraph, artfully broken by line breaks for maximum dramatic effect, her signature style. "You embarrassed me. You literally ruined everything. People are asking questions. I told them you had a panic attack. Be grateful. I'm protecting you." I stared at that last line until the words blurred. Protecting me. The sheer audacity with which my family could twist any of my decisions into a favor they were doing for me was almost breathtaking. I typed, deleted, typed again, and finally sent. "I'm not a sponsor. I'm a person." There was no response for 8 long minutes. Then a single, disdainful reply. "Wow, therapy much." I activated Do Not Disturb. I took a shower, so scalding hot my skin turned crimson. That night, I slept profoundly, like someone had finally, after years of endless chill, quietly closed a window that had let in a constant, insidious draft. The next morning, the family group chat was a frantic, incoherent mess of half-formed pivot plans. Ally volunteered her boyfriend's cousin's backyard. Someone else suggested a restaurant might comp the space for influencers. Mom posted a photo of a towering cupcake display with the caption, "We can make it work." Underneath, 3 little dots, then, "Max if you adjust." She swiftly deleted it. By noon, a new pivot plan doc appeared, a monument to chaos. Wrong fonts, broken links, absent numbers. For the first time, I saw the gears grinding, sputtering without me. It looked exactly like a group project led by no one. At 1:13 p.m., my boss pinged me on Slack. "You good? You look focused today." I smiled at my screen, a genuine, unforced smile. "I am." At 2 p.m., I walked to a local coffee shop, settling by the window. I watched people simply carry their own bags, pay for their own drinks, beholden to no one for their existence. At 3:22 p.m., my aunt, who never called me, rang. "I don't know the full story," she said, breathless, "but your mom is telling people you had some kind of episode." "Do you?" "I have boundaries," I explained. "They simply look like episodes to people accustomed to me saying yes." She was silent for a beat, then, carefully, "Good for you." At 5:40 p.m., a Venmo request from Dad. $180 labeled cake. Surprise. I almost laughed aloud. I declined with a concise note. "I'm not part of this." At 6:10 p.m., Tessa posted an Instagram story. Herself in a pristine white suit, reflected in a mirror, captioned, "Plot twist, the party goes on." At 6:14, another post, a screenshot of my text, my name blurred, would find a new sponsor circled in angry red, accompanied by an eye roll emoji. Her comments section swiftly filled with vitriol. "Men are so bitter. Family is supposed to support you." I put my phone face down once more. I made rice and eggs, eating in a profound quiet. Around 8 p.m., a familiar knock. "Dad." He stood there, that conflicted look on his face. Half apologies he could never voice, half orders he couldn't resist issuing. "Walk with me," he said. We strolled down the block, the air thick with the scent of rain and fried onions. He shoved his hands into his pockets, eyes fixed forward. "She's devastated," he began. "I know you could have handled it better." "So could you," I responded softly. He flinched, then masked it with a heavy sigh. "You were always the steady one. We leaned on you. Maybe too much." I waited. The phrase, "maybe too much," is a perennial favorite, almost an apology if you squint hard enough. He continued, his voice muted. "Your mother, she wants nice things for your sister. She wants them with my money." I interjected. He didn't argue. "It's complicated." "It's simple," I stated. We walked in silence. A bus roared past. A child's laugh floated on the breeze. He stopped, finally turned to face me. "You coming Saturday?" "To what?" "The backyard backup," he finished, a ghost of a smile, as if it were a shared joke. "I'm not invited," I said. He winced. That was dumb of her. It was honest, I corrected. And now I'm being honest back. He nodded once, slowly. "You always were like your grandpa. Stubborn." "Always paid," I said. "That's different." We stood there, two men with the same nose, the same stubborn streak, pretending this conversation was about the weather. He started to speak again, then thought better of it. He patted my shoulder, a clumsy, uncertain gesture, and walked away. Back upstairs, I sat on the edge of my bed, letting the quiet settle around me. There was a palpable sense of loss in it, not the dramatic, explosive kind, but the slow, deep ache of realization. The version of my family I'd carried, cherished, defended, was merely a story I'd meticulously crafted to soften a truly sharp, painful truth. Saturday arrived. The backup party proceeded, a makeshift affair in Ally's boyfriend's cousin's yard. Folding tables, store-bought cupcakes, and a Bluetooth speaker that persistently cut in and out marked the scene. Tessa, predictably, posted heavily filtered videos, cryptic captions like "if you know, you know." I watched precisely none of it. Instead, I immersed myself in the vibrant chaos of the farmer's market at 9 a.m. I selected ripe peaches and fragrant basil. I chose a longer route home, passing a child's lemonade stand. I gave him $5 for a $1 drink, and for the first time in memory, I didn't have to justify that small, indulgent act to anyone. I performed a meticulous deep clean of my apartment, the kind that allows you to rediscover your own space, your own belongings. I initiated a new budget doc, not for anyone else, but solely for me. All the tabs bearing other people's names were gone, replaced by a single tab labeled Future, containing 3 succinct lines. therapy, travel, a chair that won't hurt my back anymore. At 6 p.m., my phone screen flared with photos from an unsaved number. Tessa, bathed in sparkler light. Tessa, clutching a cupcake. Tessa, with the familiar caption, VIP only. No crowd shots, tight frames. I set the phone face down and returned to chopping basil. Sunday morning, Mom texted, "We should talk. Family meeting at 5. I replied, succinct, "I won't be there." She shot back, "Max, don't make me choose." I typed, then sent, "I'm choosing me." My stomach flipped, then slowly, remarkably settled. On Monday, my bank buzzed, an alert. Attempted charge $612, Globar decline. A smile, unbidden and genuine, touched my lips. My system worked. On Tuesday, a polite email arrived from the venue manager, thanking me for being clear and prompt. That word, clear, landed on me like a warm, comforting towel after a long, cold swim. On Wednesday, I slept a full 8 hours, waking before my alarm. The frantic calls slowed. The demanding texts shifted in tone, from outrage to tentative negotiation. What if you just pay for the DJ? Just bring the champagne tower? Then at least pay for the cake. It's only $180. That insidious phrase, "it's only," now flagged in my mind like a blaring red tag. Nothing is only when it encompasses everything. By Friday, a fragile quiet had descended. Not peace, not yet, but quiet. I cooked myself dinner. I watched a truly dumb movie. I thought about nothing. The word felt new, foreign, on my tongue. Nothing. That night, around 11 p.m., my phone buzzed one last time. A message from Tessa. No punctuation, just, "I need time." I stared at it for a long, reflective moment. Then I wrote back, "Me too." This entire saga, it truly changed everything. I finally stood up for myself, but it came with a heavy, undeniable cost. Perhaps you found yourself in a similar crossroad? Have you ever had to choose yourself over your family's deep-seated expectations? What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I genuinely want to know.